Well, you know, Goodfish was one of the first Indigenous companies that Syncrude had a contract with, going right back to probably the late 70s. I think it was around 78 in that time frame. And the whole contract was all about making coveralls for our employees because we were, not unlike others at the time, we were providing coveralls for our workforce. And this was a really good project, we felt, for Goodfish Lake to take on and do.
Well, Goodfish and ourselves were kind of pioneers together. I recall back in the early 90s when Jim Carter and I decided we need to start develop for more First Nation companies. And at the time, we had a little less than $3 million worth of business with Indigenous owned companies. And of course, one of them was Goodfish. So Goodfish was really a pioneer, and I always felt that we learned a lot together about how to make First Nation companies work effectively. And so we have a long history with Goodfish Goodfish Lake Business Corporation, and it's a very positive story. Initially, we started out with just them washing coveralls and repairing gloves. You just had the sewing circle in the community, and then of course you built the manufacturing plant, and then over time you grew a very profitable and effective textile company. And of course for Syncrude and Suncor, it was great for us because you were focusing definitely on what was needed within the plants, and particularly fire-resistant material. And you know, you were leaders in using things like Nomex and Endura and that. So it developed into a very good business, and it served, Goodfish really kind of served as a model for us as we move forward developing other Indigenous companies.
We had lots of experience that we developed over many years in working with Indigenous communities, and some people would suggest that we were very lax with them. That wasn't the case at all. People had to bid. We gave them time at first to learn the business, and we were, you know, supportive of them in the first couple of years, but then when they rebid, they had to bid the thing competitively. So it was a great relationship. It makes me feel really good. And Syncrude has got lots of companies, or Indigenous companies, that they've developed and helped over the years. And it's really nice for me. I've been a long time away from the organization now. I retired about 17 years ago, but I was there for 30 years. When I left Fort McMurray, I had lived in Fort McMurray more than half of my life by the time I left. And it's really nice to be able to look at all of the success stories we had. And Goodfish Lake is one of the big ones.
One of the very unique things about the Goodfish Lake Business Corporation is that it's a community effort and involves everybody in the community. I think you may have 100 employees, but I venture knowing people like Chief Ernest Newell and what was going on there, that all of the community was involved and all were benefiting from Goodfish Lake Business Corporation. Some of the things that I appreciated a lot, because you know, Syncrude was involved with a lot of external communities that have a big stake there, and Goodfish also recognized the need to build capacity within their organization and within the community. And there's a few examples I like to give. First of all, I've had a lot to do over the years with Blue Quills College, and Whitefish Lake First Nation is one of the 7 First Nations that actually runs Blue Quills University as is today. And you may not realize it, but it was Syncrude that financed and sponsored the Indigenous Teacher Educator program. And so when I look at my friends from Blue Quills days and the community members of Goodfish, you know, I see names like Makokas and Steinhauer and you know, Jacksons and all that have so much to do with building capacity within the community.
Well, for us, you know, right from the very beginning at Syncrude, we knew that if we did not involve the Indigenous people locally, they were going to be strangers in their own backyard. Here we were building this huge industrial complex very close to Fort McKay, big tailings pond, all of that. So that was one reason. Another reason is that it's a really good source of human capital. And a lot of people don't realize that, but our experiences were that once we engaged the Indigenous people and gave them job opportunities, within a few years, and I'm not talking a long time here, 18 months to 2 years, their safety record was just as good as anybody else's. Their attendance record was good. And they aspire to learn more and do more. And so we have lots of Indigenous employees that went up the ladder and got full trade certification, became supervisors, leaders in the organization. And the interesting thing is most Indigenous people, when they retire from Syncrude, they don't move to Arizona. They stay in Fort McMurray. They're part of the community. And that's another really good thing. So for us, it was not only was it necessary for us to enable them to become full participants in the economic development, but they were a real source of human capital for us too.
I would like them to continue on involving the community and building the capacity within there, and look for areas where we can grow the business and into other areas. I would like to, sometimes look into the past is a good way to look to the future. And one of the things I think we really appreciate in the industry was a very high sense of the importance of safety, which really led to, the strong focus by Goodfish on the fire-resistant materials and that. But the other one I point to people, because it's probably not really recognized as much, is that Goodfish was kind of also very much in tune with what was happening with the workforce itself, and particularly as we increased the number of women in our workforce, and that people like, I think it was Carla Sparkling Eyes, that she worked on how do we adapt the clothes so they are better suited to the female employees. So, it was the importance of keeping close to your customer. I would say that's always the number one thing. Keep close to your customer. We depend on you as a very reliable supplier of important goods. So that has to always be at the core. And also, as the world of work changes with all the technological revolution that's going on, over the next 50 years, Goodfish Corporation ought to look for opportunities to engage particularly young people in some of the STEM-related areas, digitization, artificial intelligence. They'll all find a place in how you can make your business even more effective.
Congratulations, Goodfish, on your 50th anniversary of performing work for Syncrude.